So, hello. Our next guest is the lovely Jane Harris, who has become a very, very dear friend. We haven't known each other all that long, have we, really?
Not really, no.
Feels as if I've known you all my life. She is a flower essence practitioner. She is a color therapist. She's a Reiki practitioner. But obviously the dearest thing to me is that she is co-founder of Magenta events with me. So that is a big thing for both of us. And do you remember why, Jane, that we actually called our collaboration Magenta events, talking about color, which we're going to do today? Do you remember why?
Yes, I think so. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but we wanted a name for our company, I think. Oh, hello, everybody, by the way. People have probably seen me a couple of times already. It's like common knowledge now. We wanted a name that reflected what we wanted to do. And what we wanted to do was to offer support, collaboration, a place for people to come and be part of something if they were just on their journey of self-discovery, or somewhere that other therapists, teachers, practitioners could also come and be part of something. So we were talking as one voice. I think that's what we were looking at, weren't we, with Magenta? And I think at the time, because color is so important to me, and I will, we can talk about that and obviously in a little while, I felt we needed a color. And at the time I was playing around with cards and we were looking at different colors, and one of the cards that fell out was the color magenta. And the cards that I use and that I work with myself and with my clients are the Secret Language of Color cards, which is by Ina Siegel, and they are the most beautiful colors, and cards. And this was the color out, wasn't it?
It was definitely that one. We fell in love with it immediately, didn't we?
We did. And we thought, it's connecting you to your deepest knowing. And Magenta is all about inner knowledge, inspiring, practical, but it's practical and grounded. It's a beautiful color. And it's very much, well, it's the 8th chakra. It's the color of the 8th chakra.
Soul star, yeah.
Soul star. And so it's very much about being out there and up there, but it's also about bringing that through you and through your body and being able to work with that energy. It's such a magical color. It works with magic. And, for me, when you're a child, when you look at color as a child, they go for the bright, the sparkly, the really out there colors. And for me, this is just, magenta is just beautiful. And as I said, these cards by Ina Siegel are to me are the best cards that are out there.
Yeah. It's also all about self-awareness, isn't it? Self-awareness and self-knowledge and self-responsibility, which is something that is very dear to my heart.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, exactly. From your own business of fragrance of being.
Yeah.
So it was very much, we wanted something, and excuse me, my throat's quite dry today. We wanted a color that reflected what we wanted to do and to give people at that, in these times. And I think Magenta events seem to just encapsulate that.
It does. It's all in there, isn't it? So, today you're going to talk to us about how using color through these uncertain times can bring about a sense of balance within yourself, within your life, isn't it? But before, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into becoming a flower practitioner and color therapist and Reiki practitioner. How did you get into doing that?
Yeah, well, that's, I think we are all something, and we all do something different in our lives. And so for me, I think I've always been a healer, but I did my work differently. I am a senior IT project manager. I'm very much in a male orientated background, and very much from a grounding perspective, and I sort of lost myself within that corporate world. But you've always got who you truly are, your soul,
Mm-hmm.
and it was during the corporate world journey that I basically hit a brick wall and ended up having to be at home for 4 months through stress, trying to do a project that was just never going to succeed. And I was on a hiding to nothing, but I thank the corporate world for that, for giving me that opportunity, because I decided that I would look at other ways and to start doing something for myself. And
so you're forced to stop and
I was forced to stop and to rethink. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I was forced to stop and rethink, and it was painful. And I needed to come to that realization myself. And I am a great believer that if you are on the wrong path, or if something is not meant to be, then the universe trips you up. And then even if you bowl your way through that particular time in your life, because you're still not listening, you go la la la, this is all
on your head.
It gets harder until eventually as you and I know, you have to stop and listen, don't you? You have to think, well,
gets to the point where you can't ignore it anymore.
Absolutely. This is getting painful, and I need to do something about it. So I looked into doing Reiki, and through Reiki, it sort of started to open up the channels within me to start listening. I opened these up a bit more, and I opened this up a bit more, and I started to connect through, as you do. And so this very corporate driven female suddenly started tapping into her female skill set that she had, and which was always there, because when I look back, I was always known as the mum of the office, or the wicked witch of the West. Or you come to my desk in the office and I'd have crystals and bottles of essences sitting on there, and I sort of knew things before they happened. And
the intuition, you connected to your intuition, your inner self, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And but whilst I was off, also and started to look into doing flower essences as a as enhancing my skill set, I realized that I spent most of my time in the garden, and through the flower essences was basically understood a little bit more about the flowers that were in my garden and the colors associated with them. And also through our flower essences, it opened me up to the color side of things. We all go through life, don't we? We all go through life taking color for granted.
What were the kind of colors you used to wear, in that period? What colors did you use?
When I look back on my life, when I was younger and a teenager and just starting out in life, and started working in London, I used to, one of my favorite outfits used to be red and black, and it was a red top and black skirt and a pen back then.
So very visible.
Absolutely. And I'm very old, so you had the pencil skirt and a box sort of, Dallas style shoulder pad, and
Well, we looked elegant.
we did look
We
elegant.
did. We looked elegant.
Absolutely, with stiletto shoes that I used to run for trains in. Now,
Goodness
my knees quiver in absolute fit. And so I used to wear red, and I used to wear and black, yes, because black went with this color. But I used to wear vibrant colors. I wore greens. And my coloring allowed me to wear certain colors that maybe if I was blonde, or because when I was younger I had auburn hair, so there was a reddish tinge to it. So I look back on those, and I used to be brightly colored, to see me, because I wasn't afraid to show myself. And life sort of gets in the way, and you put on a bit of weight, or you don't want to be seen, so you start hiding behind dark colors, the dark navy blue. Having said that, I used to have a lovely polka dot navy blue dress, but it had white polka dots on it. I also had a red dress which had fluorescent green polka dot. I mean, sounds awful. It was a beautiful dress, but it was beautiful. I showed myself. And then, I got, at the time that I was doing my trade with flower essences, and color was suddenly becoming a subject I really wanted to, to be part of. I realized that when I looked in my wardrobe, black, 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 I look like a flaming crow, black.
Yes, black. I know that very well. Have you noticed that I am not in black or blue today?
I'm
in your honor. I mean, I'm not. I don't have more than this, but I did it in your honor today. So.
Yes, and color lifts people. It does. I'm not saying that. It's interesting. I mean, black and white, I never look as colors. They are colors, but I don't really see them as colors. White, for me, is very much a color of. It can have two meanings, actually. When you look at white, white can be associated with sterile environments, soulless environments, being in a hospital, say, a clinic. But it can also be at the time when I was, thinking about color. How does color make me feel? How do I react to certain colors? And I was asked the question. So if you were in a room of white, completely white, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? I stopped and I thought, well, I've never really thought about this. I've never really thought about colors and how they make me feel. They're just there. I'm lucky. I have one of my 5 senses of eyesight. Lots of people don't have that, sadly, but they see colors. They just don't know what the colors are associated with. So, we need to make the most of that. And I thought about white, and I thought, well, actually, white is also very comforting. If I wrapped myself up in a soft white blanket, it's a comforting feeling. And it calms you down, and there's a soothing feeling, which is probably why in hospitals have them, and that, because it brings people down. It brings their hyperness or their worry, and it starts to
calms them down.
And also with me, for white, I'm very much somebody in my house, not in this house, because we still haven't decorated after 5 years of and how we're living with some of the paper, I don't know. But where we have managed to remove some of the paper off the walls, we've painted all the walls white, because you can put color onto white and it enhances it, which is why in your garden you should have white flowers amongst all your colorful flowers, because it enhances the color. Looking behind you, Fiona, you've got that lovely wall hanging of the colors of the chakras. It's on a white wall, I believe. Is that
more or less?
Yes. And so it's really standing out. But so is your black picture, you know, with all the lovely words on there. It's standing out. So I decided that I looked at colour and decided I'd look into it further, and as a skill, as a gift, as another string to my bow with my complementary therapies, and how colour affects people and how we can bring colour into our lives.
So how can it give us a sense of balance?
Well, I think
in our, or bringing in a sense of balance in our life, especially in these times that are quite challenging. But not only, I mean, everybody has their own moment where they feel challenged, don't they?
They do, and I think you know, when we look at colour around us in our lives, it's interesting to see what we're drawn to and what we're repelled from as well. So you know, from using the flower essences, as I said, within the garden, when I looked at the flowers that were quite predominant in my garden at that point, they were a mass. I mean, people would need to look this up if they didn't know. A mass of the spreading Hypericum, which is also known as St. John's wort. It is a yellow plant and it has lovely flowers, but it was just a mass. It was in the May time. Yeah, it was February, March. Actually, it was heading into spring in the UK at the time. And these vibrant yellow flowers, of course, which is associated, as we can see from your picture there, your solar plexus, you know, your stomach area, you know, where you start hold your emotions, you know, from a complementary side of things, from an alternative way of looking. This is the seat of your emotions, as you know. And I was
also your ego very much here, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's your ego. It's you know, your sacral is more about creativity, but which is the orange just below it. But your you know, solar plexus, and many people probably watching now will think, oh gosh, yes, if I get stressed or worried or concerned about something, my stomach goes. I get an upset stomach. I get butterflies in my stomach if we're excited, or equally if we're frightened. And it goes round to your lumbar region, round the back. And for me, that's my seat of fear. You know, if I'm sitting or I've gone into a scary situation, which can happen. So when I looked into this further, obviously St. John's wort is also known as the angel flower. It's about protection, about care, you know, about protecting you. And there I was, immersed in my garden, because I was finding it so, after 3 months, I had moved on from the point that I'd been 3 months earlier. And I then started to look in my garden at the colours. What did I have? And people can do that now. They could, you know, look out the window. They can look in their garden and see the colours that they're drawn to and that they seem to have in their garden, and those that were missing. And for me, those that were missing were red flowers. I no longer had any red flowers in my garden. And
so what would that mean, not having red flowers?
Not being red is very much about grounding. It's very much about being of the earth, being, you know, having the roots into the earth. As a person, for me personally, I'm very much out here. I'm connected upwards. I used to be, when I was younger, quite grounded. You know, I used to have my feet on the earth, and I, you know, and red was very much in my life. It would give me that fire, I suppose, in a way.
Absolutely.
That passion. And over time, life, events, challenges, mostly challenges, because
there's also the corporate world. You get in your head more and more, don't you?
Yeah, the corporate
forgetting
world,
you have a body.
Absolutely. But it's also very much about for me, some of the challenges I'd gone through in my life. So I'd had to leave my daughter behind in India with her father. She wasn't at any danger, but that for a mother, 3-year-old daughter, I had to leave behind. Suddenly, red wasn't important to me anymore. I didn't want passion. I'd lost my joy of life, my joie de vivre. I'd lost, feeling grounded. I just wanted to be grungy and hide. So I did. I hid behind black.
Yes.
But I kind of, for the purposes of what we're talking about today, and why I think colour is important, and how people can help themselves through colour, and to stop and really think about it. Stop and look where you're living. Look at your room. What colours do you have in there? And if there is a particular colour you love, like turquoise, for me, turquoise, reminiscence of Mediterranean islands and sunshine and the painted buildings and the sea and fun times. It conjures up all sorts of images that that you could have. You may have, I don't know, lilac, say, for instance, and you may have a really fond memories of going to your grandmother's where she had lilac in her house, or she smelt, there was lovely flowers. I mean, the lilac flower and the smell is absolutely glorious. It brings back really lovely memories for you. And I think when we're going through these uncharted emotional waters, some of these are bringing up emotions in people that they haven't, they've not felt before, or they've skimmed over, or they've managed to box up and pop away and not look at it. But because of lockdown, because of what we're doing, we're not allowed to get away from it. Or how can we bring that into our psyche? And so I kind of thought about this, what colour would represent challenging times now, and how can we work with that? How can we work with a colour that can help us overcome these times, and also so that people can have something tangible. So anybody that's watching this now, how can they bring that particular colour into their life?
Their life.
We all eat food, don't we? Well, we should do.
So what is this colour? Tell us.
Well, the colour, and it's not vibrant, okay? And some people might look at this and think, oh, it's a pretty drab colour. Why, oh God, that's really worrying if that's the colour representing challenges. But the colour that represents now or challenging times is plum. Okay, so again, I sat and I thought about it, and I thought, why plum? Looking at that. But there's a myriad of colour there. There's the darkness, there's the lightness, and in the middle of it all is this light that you can aim for.
So the light in the dark.
The light in the dark. Yes, it's like the lantern. Someone is holding the lantern, and it's shining a glimmer of hope and for challenges. And plum is all about overcoming challenges. It's about devotion. It's about dedication. It's about commitment. It's about heart and life purpose. But above all else, it's the colour for inner strength and faith. And what can you do to bring that into your life? So obviously,
we all need, I think, in this period, isn't it? We need this strength, our inner self, and
you need to have faith.
Absolutely.
You need to have faith
with all the craziness that is happening, we need to stand and have faith.
Absolutely, have faith in yourself.
Self.
It's, again, we're going back to self. It's about working on self, because you don't need to get dragged into all the drama that's going on out there. Or forget this year, you may come across these challenges later on, in
another year,
or it will come about from other things. It might just be everyday life challenges. You get angry, you get upset, you get worried. There's a sense of overcoming, needing to do something to change something. Well, first of all, you need to work with self. And I think, through all our conversations with these lovely people we've had, I think ultimately the underlying thing was you always come back to self. You work on self, don't you? Self.
Everything goes around you, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's an important, if you can work with yourself, everything else will fall into place. So how to bring this color into your life.
Yes, tell us. I love that one in the middle, the light.
It's the
Beautiful.
light.
Reminds me of the hermit in the tarot.
That's what I was thinking. The tarot card is the hermit. It's the, not everything is lost. It's there. And to me, that is a doorway into the unknown there, but an exciting doorway. Just aim for that. So obviously, depending on the time of year, of course, but you can bring that color through from fruit, from vegetables. So plums, that's where the color came from, the plum. I mean, at the end of the day, the color, if I can remember rightly, and don't quote me on the date, but the word plum as a color came into existence in the English language in 1805. So we're looking, well, it's not been around.
So that's when plums were invented or discovered, or
who knows? It might have been plums arrived on the United Kingdom's front. It seems strange, but to be used as a color. So I think from a color spectrum, you've got your basics, your red, white, green, blue, orange. You've got the rainbow colors. So to use it as a color on the spectrum, it was generated in 1805, and you can bring that color in by eating plums, and plums come in all sorts of different colors as well. You can have the Victoria plums, which are quite reddish, so you've got that color, and you've got the darker color,
the darker ones.
Aubergine as the vegetable, eggplant as it's known also, is about bringing that color in. And if you sit quietly if you got yourself a pack of cards like this, and anyone can do that, and they're not hugely expensive, and I'm sure Ina Siegel will be very pleased. I don't know. I think her cards are wonderful, and I think anyone can do this.
We'll do a little bit of advertising for her then.
Absolutely, she doesn't even know it. That's collaboration for you, isn't it? Sit with the colour. If you have a coloured scarf, maybe wear a plum scarf. You might have a plum handkerchief. Or just spend 5 minutes a day bringing
a plum pair of sheets or something.
Yeah, or shoes. Lovely pair of shoes or anything. Just during these times, if you're feeling a little bit uncertain and a little bit unbalanced, then bring this color into your life, because it is about uncertainty and challenges. But jewelry, a nice pair of earrings, a lovely necklace, a bracelet. And when you look at that color, just in your mind's eye, also known as your third eye, but in your mind's eye.
Well, there's the plum.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
not that color, but it's certainly a tone of plum, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's there. Just let that light bathe you, and just allow it to permeate and to work around it. So that's the color for these times. But my advice, my suggestions to people, and I've learned this over time, is that stop and think, stop and really look when you're out and about. And you're maybe looking down on a forest, or down on a field, or down where there's just a mass of greenery. Instead of just glancing over it and thinking, oh yeah, that's nice, and moving on, as we all do, stop and really look at it. The last couple of months I've been lucky in this day and age, because I live in the south of France, to get out and about. And what I've noticed is, obviously things are changing now with the colours. We're coming into autumn in the northern hemisphere. The lucky people in the summer hemisphere are coming into spring, so they've got different colours. And they've got the year is ahead for them, so it's hope and positivity. And the last couple of days I've been thinking, oh blimey, we've got winter heading, and during these challenging times, how can I look at this? But you know what, when we look at plants and we look at the forest and we look at the woods around us and the trees, the colors there are as vibrant as they are in the spring, because basically they are telling us hello.
Yeah, they're very warming, aren't they?
They're very warming. This is like we're on fire. We're going to show you our last kind of big exhibition of the colors that we've got here before we go to sleep, in order to regenerate ourselves for the beautiful colors that come in spring. But what I've also noticed prior to that is when I looked at woods and trees and groups of trees, there wasn't just one color of green there. There's multiple colors of green, multiples, and they all complement each other. Not one color was better than the other, or when you look at the green on your pennant behind you, there's a dark green there on top of a vibrant green.
So different.
Exactly. But one isn't better than the other, is it? And so it kind of got me thinking about looking at colors, how that made me feel. And getting out in nature for people, I think is really important for people to do. And you can tell a lot with people from the colors that they like and the colors that they're a bit hesitant over. And again, for me, for my personal work and with people, because I love people, I love working with people, the flower essence side of it and the color side of it really, really complement each other, because I can work with somebody who looks at this and thinks, why don't you like the color red? Which is, why is it that red is not, it's something that you say, I don't want that color anywhere near me. Or the word I hear is I hate. Wow, that's such a strong word.
Yeah, it's very strong. I don't like wearing red, but I do. I love it to see the red flowers and the red berries and those kind of things. I love it, but I'd never wear it.
No. Well, there's a reason behind that, but there's people that wouldn't even have red anywhere near them, whether it's a flower. I mean, for me personally, you do me no favors by giving me red roses at Valentine's, because it's not my favorite color. But there was a time when I didn't want red in my life at all, and now I have red flowers in my garden. And I have the most beautiful canna lily that is beautiful red. She's absolutely beautiful. So you can work through colors, and you can work on yourself. It's a journey. It's a self-discovery, and flowers and color obviously go together. But yeah, I mean, people, anyone that's going through something challenging, or if you've got children and you want to bring some joy, you want to give them some comfort, you want to sometimes very active, hyperactive children, they need to be calmed down. You could look.
What can you say about that?
Well, there's all sorts of things.
When you have your children are having,
absolutely
hyper hysterics or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, but you could also look at, again, it goes back to food, doesn't it? It goes back to what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, the colors that, when you have a plate of food, you really should have a plate of colorful food. And you could have red peppers and orange tomatoes, because you have all these beautiful colors, the greenery to go with it, and the slight pinks that you can add in, and the yellows, and everything. You make this a colorful experience, and you can do that with children. It's a colorful experience.
But they usually, in my experience, push aside anything that is green and anything colorful.
If there's something vibrant, but if you I mean, children are children, aren't they? And you know, my daughter, I just never got into arguments with her about food, and she's turned out 28 years old and eats lovely food and a well-balanced diet. But that's for child psychology, and I'm not a psychologist. But what you can do within, you know, maybe their bedrooms is to paint their walls a pale green. Green is very calming. It's a very gentle colour, and
it's the heart, isn't it, with the chakra, very
absolutely
much opening.
And it's very much you know, just bringing them in. It's also nature, it's also grounding. It's you know, you look at how, or ask your child, what's your favorite color? And okay, they might say it's purple, and you think, I'm not painting all 4 walls purple. But you could perhaps do one wall purple, or a nice, you know, do something with purple in it. There's a reason why they want that. They want that connection, you know.
My daughter did that a couple of years ago with the children. They were like 3 of them in the room at the time, and one of them wanted purple, one of them wanted a really lime green, and I think the other was yellow, and she actually did it. It was quite shocking when you went in, but it was very beautiful in the same way, because it was so vibrant for them.
Yes, it's what they wanted. It's which is why children love vibrancy. They love really colourful, you know, multicolored stuffed animals and things like that, and their toys are, and you think, really, stripy orange, green, yellow, really? Oh well, never mind.
So my granddaughter and all her friends are very much into like pink. You know, everything has to be pink and shocking pink, and you know, all these kind of things.
And that's all about love and you know, connection. And yes, they always say that's a girly color, and oh god, I didn't like pink when I was a kid. You know, I didn't like colors like that. But you know, it's an interesting, you know, when you really look at colors and how they affect people, how you could go somewhere and if you're in a bad mood and the color on the wall is quite shocking, maybe red, that's gonna go but in order to bring that down, you take the opposite color, you bring in blue to bring the coolness in, to bring that, you know, to bring that energy down. And it's a lovely, gentle way of healing that everybody can access, can be in touch with, and can actually work with amongst themselves. You know, you may be somebody who likes to wear black for whatever reason, but you can still bring colour in by having colourful scarves. You know, you just wrap your colourful scarf around you, or having filters on windows, and you know, anywhere where there's light, putting a rainbow, you know, a crystal up so the rainbow kind of goes around. It's bringing colour in. It's a science, and it's been shown that it, you know, it's proven that colours affect people and they can heal people as well. So you know, it's a wonderful modality, and when worked with from flower essences as well, I think it's such a gentle way.
Very much complement each other, work together well, I would imagine.
Yes.
There's also colour flower essences, I believe. Yeah,
there are indeed flower essences. I work with those as well. So colour flower essences, they are the elixir of colour in essences.
Okay.
But yeah, they are essences, and you can have it's the same with your elementals, your crystals. It's the energy, and we are all energy at the end of the day. We all have an energy field. You know, we can change how we look at things very, you know, it takes time sometimes, but it's workable.
I know when we often have a chat, you're in another room with these beautiful orange curtains behind you. You kind of get in the middle, and
that's
very vibrant.
My dining room. Yeah, I better not do that today. Friends down there now. So
okay. So they're enjoying the orange curtains.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So if people want to know a little bit more about what you do, or would like to have a chat,
Yes.
how can they do that?
Well, you're going to
With
pop
your,
links. So there'll be a link
your website,
for my website, and also
which is
www.lasongteat.com.
La Santit, which
Yes.
is the sanctuary. Yeah.
Sanctuary.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Very beautiful.
lasongteat.com. But also there's a link below that actually goes to my calendar. So what I would like to offer anyone that's watching who might be interested in colour is a 20-minute consultation, free, to basically connect, to find out a little bit more about it, and if it's something they're interested in, then obviously we can take it forward. And in order to do that, they can either contact me directly through my website, they can contact me by booking an appointment, or they can just send me, there is my email address, which is jane@lasongteat.com.
Yeah, wonderful. So we put all those contacts and websites and calendar links. We'll be putting them down below.
If all else fails, then obviously they've found their way to Magenta events, so they can send me an email that way.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're getting a little bit worried about links, aren't we, at the moment?
That's the chance, yeah. Technology is not our strong point sometimes.
Well, we're getting there. So, thank you so much, Jane, for telling us, sharing us all your wisdom about colour. It's very, very interesting. It's something I would like to look more into as well. Feeling a little bit better, even though it's my pale blue today rather than my dark blue. So
it's lifted. Look at that, the skin and everything.
It is. Okay, so thank you very much, my love. And speak to you soon. Okay.
See you inside.
Bye.